Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're looking at Lincoln wheat penny coins, made from 1909 to 1958. These old pennies have Lincoln on the front and wheat ears on the back. Some are special because of their age or small details that make them different. People collect them, and a few can be worth more than just 1 cent. Let's find out which ones are interesting and fun to look for. First up, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in circulated condition is a fascinating coin that takes us back to the post-World War II years in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this penny carries no mint mark, a common trait for coins from that facility at the time. Though it may seem like an ordinary coin to the casual observer, collectors know that every Lincoln wheat penny tells a unique story through its age, design, wear, and journey through American hands. The obverse of the coin features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. It includes the phrases "In God We Trust" along the upper rim, "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln, and the date 1949 to the right. On circulated coins like this one, you may notice slight smoothing of the high points, especially on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and hair. Yet, even with wear, the coin still retains its character and charm. The reverse shows the iconic wheat design, with 2 curved stalks bordering the denomination 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, E pluribus unum is boldly displayed, adding a touch of unity and national pride to the piece. Over 217 million of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia in 1949, so the coin is not considered rare in terms of production. However, that doesn't mean it lacks value or interest. In circulated condition, most 1949 wheat pennies are worth between 5 cents and 50 cents, depending on the level of wear and overall appeal. Still, what makes this coin exciting is its place in the transitional years of the late 1940s, a time when the United States was emerging from war and reshaping itself for the modern age. This coin might have helped buy a newspaper, a candy bar, or a bus fare during a time of great national change. Collectors particularly enjoy finding wheat pennies from this era because of their quality and historic importance. Coins like this are often part of starter collections for young hobbyists, and for older collectors, they evoke vivid memories of daily life when pennies truly held value. Imagine this coin changing hands during a 1949 trip to the movie theater, or being dropped into a piggy bank by a child saving for the first time. These coins are more than just metal. They are time capsules that have traveled from generation to generation. Although the 1949 Lincoln penny is not known for widespread errors, there are still occasional finds that excite the collector community. These include double dies where elements like the date or lettering are struck twice, creating a shadow-like effect, or die cracks that form raised lines on the surface. Off-center strikes where the coin was not properly aligned during minting also add value when they are dramatic. A 1949 penny with a clear and appealing error can sell for significantly more than its standard value, especially if the coin is in good condition or has been preserved with minimal damage. Another detail that draws collector attention is the color of the coin. Wheat pennies were made from 95% copper, and over time, their color can shift from bright red to deep brown. A coin that still has some of its original red luster, even in circulated condition, might be more desirable. While this 1949 penny is circulated and likely leans toward the brown end of the color spectrum, even a faint shine from its original mint glow can add both beauty and collectible appeal. When you hold a coin like this 1949 wheat penny, you are not just looking at a simple piece of change. You are holding something that has seen more than 70 years of American history. It passed through decades of growth, conflict, celebration, and transformation. Coins like this serve as living reminders of how something so small could once play such a meaningful role in everyday life. From store counters to school desks, these pennies moved through countless hands, each one adding a little more to their silent story. The fact that this coin is still here, even after all those years, shows its strength and lasting value. While it may not bring thousands of dollars at auction, Its true worth lies in its connection to the past, its role in a shared history, and the joy it brings to collectors who know how to appreciate the quiet treasures hiding in plain sight. This 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny remains a humble but powerful link to the American experience, and it's a coin that deserves both recognition and respect in any collection. Next up we have the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with its deep black shade is a coin that catches the eye and invites curiosity. Minted in San Francisco during a year when the world was still in the grip of World War II, this coin represents more than just a monetary unit. It reflects the resilience of a nation, the strength of its people, and the history of a generation that faced tremendous global challenges. Over 280 million of these pennies were struck in San Francisco in 1944, and while that makes it relatively common in terms of mintage numbers, each coin tells its own unique story depending on its condition and appearance. The black shading on your coin could be the result of age oxidation, environmental exposure, or the metal composition reacting over time. In many cases, coins with darker tones develop unnaturally rich patina that gives them a dramatic appearance. While some collectors prefer bright red or brown coins, others are drawn to these darker examples for their visual character and the mystery they add to a collection. The color does not necessarily reduce the coin's historical importance, and in some cases, it can even make a coin stand out more among others. On the obverse side, the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln stands tall. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait has been the face of the penny since 1909. Even with the black shade and wear from circulation, the details of Lincoln's profile can still often be seen, particularly the outline of his nose, jawline, and the general shape of his coat and hair. The date 1944 appears just to the right, and below it is the small S mint mark that tells us it was produced in San Francisco. This small detail is key, especially when comparing the coin to its Philadelphia and Denver counterparts. The reverse features the classic wheat ears design, a style used from 1909 to 1958. The words 1 cent and United States of America are centered boldly between two curved stalks of wheat. Above that is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, on a coin with black shading and signs of circulation. This design might be muted or partially worn down, but it remains a timeless symbol of early 20th century American coinage. The contrast between the darkened color and the raised design features can sometimes enhance the visibility of the details, giving the coin a unique appeal. In terms of value, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny is not particularly rare in circulated condition. Typically, coins like this trade for a few cents to a couple of dollars depending on their condition and the collector's interest. However, coins in mint state condition, especially those with a bright red tone and no signs of wear, can sell for $20 to $50 or more. Rare errors, such as double dyes or off-center strikes from this year, can reach into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Although your coin has seen circulation and has a black shade, it still holds value to the right collector, especially those who appreciate coins with unique coloration and visible history. This penny likely passed through the hands of soldiers, farmers, factory workers, and families during a time when every cent mattered. It may have been used to buy war stamps, candy for a child, or placed in a donation box to support the troops. Each scratch, each worn edge, and the deep shade of color on the surface all speak to a life well traveled. It's not just a piece of copper, it is a piece of time. So, while your 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny may not hold a high market price, its true value lies in its story. It connects us to a powerful moment in history, to people who made sacrifices, and to a nation working toward peace. The black shading does not hide the past, it highlights it. This coin, though darkened by age, still shines with meaning and continues to remind us that even the smallest pieces of history can leave a lasting mark. Next up we have the 1941 Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition is a humble yet powerful reminder of American resilience during a pivotal time in history. Struck at the Denver Mint, This coin came into circulation just as the United States was on the edge of entering World War II, with over 128 million of these coins produced that year in Denver. It was a common sight in the pockets and purses of everyday Americans. Yet even a circulated coin like this one carries an energy that reaches far beyond its face value. On the front of the coin is the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, a figure who stood for unity, freedom, and leadership during the nation's darkest moments. Designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909, Lincoln's profile remained a symbol of strength throughout the early 20th century. In your circulated example, signs of wear may have softened the sharpness of Lincoln's features. You might notice smoothing around his jawline, hair, and coat, but even in a well-worn state, the portrait holds a powerful presence. The date 1941 is clearly visible, and just beneath it is the small letter D, indicating it was minted in Denver. The reverse of the coin features the two classic wheat stalks curving along the left and right sides. Between them are the words 1 cent and United States of America. This side of the coin also includes the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. In a circulated condition, much of the detailing in the wheat ears may be worn down, and some of the lettering might have faded slightly, but the design remains unmistakably tied to American heritage. This wheat reverse design was used from 1909 to 1958 and is cherished among collectors for its connection to the early years of modern U.S. coinage. While your 1941D wheat penny is not rare in terms of mintage, its age and the fact that it is still intact over 80 years later give it a lasting historical charm. In circulated condition, the coin's value is typically modest, usually between 5 and 20 cents. However, collectors often look for coins with unusual traits or errors that can increase their value dramatically. For example, rare error coins from this year, such as double die obverses or off-center strikes, have fetched values from hundreds to even thousands of dollars at auction. Though such errors are rare, they are always worth checking for. Even without a high dollar value, your coin offers something more valuable than money. It offers connection. Imagine this coin being handed over at a gas station in the early 1940s when gasoline was just a few cents per gallon. It may have bought a school lunch, been tossed into a piggy bank, or given as change after a newspaper purchase. It passed through the hands of Americans during a time when radio was king. Families gathered around to hear news from overseas, and patriotism ran strong in every corner of the country. Collectors often treasure circulated coins like this one not for their perfection, but for their imperfection. Every scratch, ding, and faded detail is a clue to the coin's long life and all the moments it has seen. These imperfections tell a story that brand new coins simply cannot. A coin like your 1941D wheat penny is not just metal, it is a piece of everyday history, a tangible connection to the past, and a token of a nation navigating through uncertainty. So, while your 1941D penny may not command a high price on the collector's market, it holds something greater. It holds a spirit of endurance and a glimpse into the daily life of Americans during a historic moment. Coins like this are cherished not because they are rare, but because they are real. They remind us where we've come from and the many hands that have helped build the story of this country. And that kind of value, no matter how small the coin, is truly priceless. Next up we have the 1947's Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition is a small yet powerful reminder of post-war America. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, this coin came into the world during a time of national transition. World War II had ended just 2 years earlier, and the United States was entering a new era filled with hope, rebuilding, and rapid change. Over 99 million of these coins were produced in San Francisco in 1947, making it a common issue in terms of mintage. But even a well-circulated coin from this year can capture the attention of collectors who appreciate the stories that old coins silently carry. On the obverse side is the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Even in circulated condition, Lincoln's profile remains easily recognizable. Though the finer details such as the hair texture or coat lines may have worn down, the shape of his face, the date 1947, and the small S mint mark below it often remain clear. That S is an important clue to the coin's origins. It means this penny was struck in San Francisco, one of the 3 major mints operating at the time. San Francisco mint coins are often viewed with interest by collectors, especially when combined with historical context. Turn the coin over and you'll find the wheat ears design that gives this series its nickname. 2 simple stalks of wheat curve along the left and right edges of the reverse, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them is the motto E pluribus unum. While years of circulation may have softened the definition of the wheat and lettering, the design remains bold in its simplicity. This reverse was a staple of American coinage from 1909 until 1958, and it represents a time when design focused on strength, symbolism, and national pride. As for value, circulated 1947 S wheat pennies are generally modest in worth. Most will sell for between 5 and 20 cents depending on condition. However, there are always exceptions. Coins that manage to survive in near mint or red condition can bring higher prices, sometimes reaching $10 to $30 or more. The real excitement comes from error coins. Off-center strikes, double die obverses, or other minting anomalies can push a common penny into the high hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Though rare, it's always worth taking a closer look, especially with a magnifier or by comparing it to online error examples. But beyond the dollar value, this coin tells a deeper story. Imagine where this penny might have traveled. It may have been used in a bustling post-war city, or perhaps exchanged at a small-town general store. It could have passed from parent to child as a small reward, or been tossed into a jar with dozens of others, waiting to be counted. Every dent and worn surface holds the echo of countless transactions, conversations, and lives intersecting. The late 1940s were a time of optimism and change in the United States. The economy was booming, soldiers were returning home, families were growing, and Americans were dreaming of a brighter future. Your 1947 S penny was part of that time. It was touched by people who had endured war and were now working toward peace and prosperity. It is not just an object from the past. It is a survivor from an era of transformation. Collectors often find emotional value in coins like this one. While they may not bring in hundreds of dollars, they bring something far more personal. They offer a direct connection to the everyday lives of past generations. And in that way, even a single cent becomes a treasured piece of our national heritage. So this 1947 S Lincoln wheat penny, even in circulated condition, continues to shine as a window into history. It is a reminder that value is not always about money. Sometimes it's about meaning. Sometimes the most common coin carries the most uncommon story. Next up we have the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in red shade condition is one of those coins that instantly grabs attention, not because of its rarity, but because of the sheer beauty and history it represents. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint during the final years of World War II, this coin holds a special place in American numismatic history. Over 1.4 billion of these were produced in 1944, making it one of the highest mintage years for the Lincoln cent. And yet, when one of these coins survives in a red shade, especially with strong details and minimal wear, it becomes something collectors pay closer attention to. The obverse side of the coin proudly displays Abraham Lincoln's profile. Even after decades, a red-tone 1940 for penny can show surprising luster and definition in the design. The lines in Lincoln's hair, the crispness in his suit collar, and the deep strike of the day can still be admired when the coin has retained its original copper brilliance. The absence of a mint mark means this coin came from the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not use a letter to identify its location. This makes it a standard issue, but not any less meaningful. What makes the red shade significant is its connection to how the coin was stored and handled over time. Red pennies are those that still show their original copper coloring, the same bright orange red look they had the day they were struck. This coloring fades quickly with exposure to air, oil from human fingers, and general circulation. So when a coin still holds the red tone after nearly 80 years, it's a sign it was kept in relatively protected conditions. Collectors love red coins because they often indicate better preservation, and that can directly affect market value. On the reverse of the coin is the classic wheat design, with two wheat stalks linking the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the Latin motto E pluribus unum. A red coin will often reveal stronger detailing in the wheat and lettering, adding to its desirability. The wheat design is straightforward but symbolic, representing American agriculture and strength during challenging times. These coins circulated heavily, so finding one in a red shade is always a nice surprise. Even though 1940 for pennies are common, their value can climb based on condition. A regular circulated 1940 for Lincoln penny without a mint mark might only be worth a few cents to $1, but a red version with good surfaces and little to no damage can command more. In higher grades, especially MS65 or above, red 1940 for Lincoln cents can bring $20 to $50, and in exceptional cases even more. Rare examples in top-tier condition certified by grading agencies have reached well into the hundreds. While yours may not be mint state, the red tone gives it a bump in both appeal and potential value. There's another interesting piece of history attached to the 1940 for cent. During the war in 1943, pennies were made of steel coated in zinc because copper was needed for the war effort. That makes 1940 for the year copper returned to the cent, and collectors took notice. However, a few transitional errors occurred. A very small number of 1940 for pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover steel plankets from the previous year. Those coins, known as 1940 for steel cents, are extremely rare and worth tens of thousands of dollars or more. While your coin is copper and not one of those rare errors, it still belongs to that historic moment when the United States was transitioning out of wartime production. Your red shade 1940 for Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin that bridges the past and present. It was made at a time when the world was healing and rebuilding, and it likely passed through the hands of people who lived through ration books, war bonds, and VE Day celebrations. Today, it stands as a small but shining symbol of that time, its red glow reminding us of the pride and spirit of a generation that saw the world change forever. Holding onto a coin like this is like preserving a sliver of American history. It may not bring fortune in dollars, but it offers something richer, lasting connection to a story still being told, 1 cent at a time.